Are you worried about your child's weight, but also concerned or maybe even afraid to damage their confidence, to hurt their self esteem? If so, you're not alone. There are many parents that are walking that same line, have concerns, but really genuinely care about their child as a full person, right? Their overall health. So, today I'd like to speak with you about how you can help an overweight child get healthier without hurting their confidence. I'm Katarina, and today we're going to talk about a few different things. We'll talk about what the problem isn't and what things can contribute to the problem, what can backfire when it comes to this topic, and a few things that you can think of as levers to start adjusting in your family to move you toward helping your child and maybe even your whole family improve their health. And we'll also, toward the end, talk about 3 specific actions you can take as a parent this week to start moving forward. So let's get into it. The problem is not your child, and you probably already knew that. Um, so, what is the problem? Why are you in this situation? There may be a lot of factors that are contributing to it. A couple of big ones are the environment and the habits that have come together to create a situation. And there may be like other underlying health factors as well. On that note, definitely encourage you to have open conversations with your child's healthcare provider as you look at what changes you plan to make, and definitely consult with them. But to expound a little bit more on this, when it comes to the environment, kids don't get to choose their food environment. And they often don't even get to choose most of their daily routines. And another factor is that they just respond differently to stress and pressure. And they may have grown up to this point in an environment seeing adults respond to stress and pressure by turning to unhealthy habits or turning to food. So, all of these things and many others can really contribute to the situation that you're facing, or in some cases, the situation that you may be trying to get ahead of to prevent. So, what can backfire in a situation like this? Well, talking a lot about weight can actually backfire. Um, because when weight is the focus, then health gets worse. And even if um, you are able to like make weight the focus and get a short-term change, because often that leads to health getting worse, then you see that rebound effect that often as adults we're all too familiar with. So we don't want to make talking about weight or uh, you know weekly weigh-ins or anything like that the focus of this. The thing that's going to give long-term results, they may not be super fast, but sometimes they will be because kids' bodies are just so adaptable. But the point is really focusing on health. And there are many kind of levers to pull when it comes to making health the focus. Today, we'll talk about 3. The first one is movement that feels safe. So, what we really want, and if you've seen that this has any of these things that I'm going to mention have started to happen, I just really want to encourage you as we get into kind of like some more concrete details, don't beat yourself up. Um, we all do the best we can with the circumstances and information we had at the time. And then as we keep uh, getting more information, improving our circumstances, then we can do the best we can with that and keep improving, growing, building a better life for ourselves and our family. So this is not about looking at the past with a critical eye, but it's really about, you may need to take a moment to like accept and forgive, but it's really about, and when I say forgive, like forgive yourself or maybe forgive other people who pushed you in a certain direction that you may see is not the best for you and your family and your child now. But what it's really, really about is moving forward from here in the best possible way. So I wanted to say that because the first one is movement that feels safe and not making exercise like this drudgery, and even worse, not making exercise a punishment or something that is like, well, you need to do this, right? That's not the perspective that we want. Movement should be something very supportive and really trying to move toward it being enjoyable. So there are some really simple things that you can have in mind. In the future, we'll go more into depth about this, but things like walking. Walking is a really basic movement, and most of us are doing at least a little bit of walking, even if it's like from one room to another in our house already. So increasing the amount of walking, not saying, okay, we're going to get to this many thousand steps, but just walking as an activity that's part of our family culture, or that becomes part of our family culture now, can be a really healthy step. Um, I have a son, and one of the activities we like to do together is walk. And just the other night, we took a walk, or evening really. It was as the sun was setting. We took a walk and we had a conversation. And he actually told me at the end of the night, I ask him every night, what was a moment that you liked from the day or a success from the day? And he said our walk and the conversation we got to have, because walking really lends itself to that. It's a very natural way to deal with stress, which we mentioned a minute ago. But there are other really simple things like floor play. And floor play can be something really flexible, because it can be, okay, let's just, play a really active thing on the floor and getting down and getting up. But you want to meet your child where it's at, where they're at. And as I said, not make it like a drudgery. So for some kids, if you say, oh, let's go on a walk, that may be like, but if you just say, hey, I want to get some more movement from my hips, usually we have Friday game night. Instead of playing on the kitchen table, we're going to put the game on the floor. That's just a really simple change that just by going from a table where you're sitting in a chair to the floor where now you're sitting on the floor, it's going to naturally lend itself to more movement, because it's been a while. When you sit on the floor, what happens is you get uncomfortable after a little while, but that discomfort is actually kind of a good thing, because it motivates you to change your position and configure your legs and arms and body in a different way. And that is movement. So movements that feel safe, and definitely playing, you know, encouraging outdoor play, making time and space for that can be a huge thing. And going into whatever your child enjoys, giving some extra time for that as far as like outdoor play. So, second thing is pleasant, healthy habits and not rules. So that's a lever that you want to start thinking about, is what things can I bring in that can be habits for my family, and not make it about, okay, we have to eliminate this and you're going to get in trouble if you do that. No, it's just, okay, now as a family, and this is key, like making these changes together is also going to be something that is really helpful to them being long-term changes, and changes that are seen as positive and not negative, as coming together and not singling out a certain child or maybe several children, and making them feel shame or guilt. So some healthy habits that you might think of, it doesn't have to be huge. This doesn't have to be like, now we're going to go swimming every morning and it's in the middle of winter. No, it can be something as simple as, hey, let's start including more protein at breakfast. Like if breakfast has been bagels or cereal, to switch it up and say, hey, we're going to do eggs every Monday. or just whatever change. And you can even think about making it things that your child looks forward to, like, okay, let's do breakfast burritos, or, you know, just different things. It can be food, it can be movement, like we were talking about, having after school, we go on a walk for 10 minutes before we transition into the rest of the afternoon. Um, so think about what habit, it doesn't have to be long, but something consistent. It could be consistently a certain day of the week. Even better if it's an everyday habit where you can start incorporating a new healthy habit, but something that is pleasant and joyful. Third thing is thinking about the way you talk about health and weight, and really using language that protects their confidence and helps set a positive foundation for the changes that you'll bring into the family to help everyone be healthier. So instead of talking about, like, oh, we have to cut out sugar, or um, we need to go for a run, or we haven't exercised today, we have to do something, talking about healthy changes from a positive lens. Like, I love eating vegetables and fruits because they make me feel more energetic. Or after I go on a walk, I can feel that my body is just so happy. Or, um, hey, let's, work on getting stronger. How many push ups can we do? And just things that focus on our energy, our strength, feeling good in our bodies. Um, Another thing that's really, really good for feeling good in the body, that kind of goes with all three of these, is stretching. So light stretching can be a really nice segue into movement that feels safe, into a pleasant, healthy habit. And it doesn't have to be something like, it doesn't have to be strenuous, right? We're not saying, okay, start with push-ups. That's not my suggestion at all. But where you see an opportunity of something that will resonate with your child and that can be genuine for you. Our kids know us really well. So if you're like, oh, I hate vegetables, and then after this video, like, oh, I have to say, oh, I love vegetables. No, that's not genuine. Your kid knows it's not genuine. But you may, if you as an adult hate vegetables, you may say, hey, I want to try to bring more vegetables because I want my body to be healthy for many years, and I know that they'll contribute to that. So do you want to try this recipe with me, and we can see like how it comes out? And a lot of the tips I'm sharing can be applicable to any age, but really I have in mind kids like 12 and under. Um, when it comes to like really being careful about your language and things like that. As they get into adolescence, you may be able to have more open conversations, but just stay aware of the energy and the tone that you're bringing to those conversations. Um, Kids can change when they feel supported, not when they feel watched or shamed, or like who they are is not enough, right? When they feel supported and when they feel part of something, that can be really helpful. So now we've gotten toward the end. Let's talk about 3 actions that you can do as a parent this week and really get yourself on a good road. So one is remove weight talk from the house. And that includes talking about yourself, because what we say directly to our children is part of what they absorb, but also what they pick up and hear us discussing in other contexts. So again, like I mentioned earlier, the focus is not weight, even if that's part of kind of it's such a visual marker that it's really easy to hone in on. And it's not that weight doesn't matter, because we all know that, when you are carrying excess weight, it can have health outcomes. But if that's the main focus, it backfires, like we talked about. So this week, try removing weight talk from the house. A second idea is to choose a daily habit that you can add as a family. And again, it doesn't have to be huge. It can be just as simple as, hey, let's do these 1 or 2 stretches as part of the bedtime routine now. Um, and number 3, kind of already hinted at a little bit, but model the behavior. Work on being the person that your child can imitate and become healthier, but without pressure, right? Let your example speak without nagging or like um, shaming or anything else. Um, and I just want you to know that you can do this. If this has resonated with you, I don't want you to feel like you're failing, because that's not what it is. And if there are even things that I mentioned that are like, oh, I've been doing that so much and that wasn't the best way, again, just let that go, move forward. If this resonates, it means you're paying attention and that you're searching for strategies that can really work for you and your child. And it just shows how much you care about your child. So keep up the good work. And in the next video, we'll talk a bit more about exercise, but specifically why just telling kids to exercise more doesn't work and what you can do instead. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.